Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, member of the Heavy Hockey Network. I am your host, Bruce Gunther. Joining me tonight is Tyler Holman. Welcome, Tyler.
How are you?
Oh, not doing too bad. How about you?
Good. Stressed out the Devon's not here, but other than that, good.
Oh, we'll try and we'll hack our way through the evening. How does that sound?
Sounds fitting.
Tonight is episode 134, NHL Fantasy Preview for Week 3. We're going to throw a wrench in the evening and we're going to change things up a little bit here. Instead of doing John's list, we're going to start off with Tyler's take. Tyler's going to talk about here something that's bothered him this week in the NHL. And we are going to start off with Rasmus Anderson's hit on Patrick Laine, the closing seconds of the game the other night. So take it away, Tyler.
As an ode to John, I just don't like this guy. The hit was dumb. It was stupid. It's a 3-1 game. You're down by 2 goals. There's less than 2 seconds left. I don't know that he left his feet. And I know that he was off the ice, but I don't know if that was after contact. But when you pick somebody's head who's trying to shoot the puck at an empty net, it's not even going to make it there in time. You're down by 2 goals. The game's over. He's a spot picker, and he's done this. I mean, he's done this against Edmonton. I don't like guys that just pick their spots. Like that specifically, I mean, that was greasy. It was dirty. 4 games is a pretty decent length of time for suspension in the NHL. Seeing that they're going to appeal the suspension doesn't really surprise me either. I think that they should stick at the 4 games. Doing something like that, it's not necessary. It's the end of the game, 2 goals down, blindside, and you pick his head. And I really don't like it. I really don't like it at all. It really grinds my gears.
I saw the replay on YouTube where I saw that, and I didn't realize it was the last seconds of the game. I thought there was a few minutes left. I didn't realize it was a few seconds left in the game. But yeah, the hit didn't look good.
Well, and the time of the game changes it too, because if there's 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left, that's different. But when there's no time left, basically. Like if you look at the scorecard, his penalty was at 20 minutes of the third period. So the game is over. And to do something like that, it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I don't understand stuff like that either, but whether they'll say it's in the moment or whatever they want to call it, but still, it's not. I didn't like it either after looking at it. I just looked at it and said, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
But sounds like a lot of people thought 4 games was a good enough amount to send a message. A lot of people said that I read anyway, said that they got the amount of games right, that they didn't go easy on them for this. So hopefully the NHL holds it up and sends a message for a change.
I was more surprised than anything that they actually gave him a decent suspension, because that's up there in number of games relative to all the other suspensions that have been handed out over the last couple of years. So it's a decent number of games.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully it holds and everybody learns from it.
Yeah, I doubt he will, but
yeah, right. It's the NHL, right? It's something will happen tomorrow and everyone will forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, something did already, but we'll get to that later on here in the podcast. We'll move on now to Fantasy Lock of the Week for Week 3. Even though it says Week 1 in the notes, it's actually Week 3. This week's lock is Dylan Larkin of the Detroit Red Wings. Larkin had 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists this week in 4 games played. 6 of those points came on the power play, and he added a game-winning goal to boot. Playing on a line with Alex DeBrincat and Lucas Raymond, he is averaging just over 17 minutes of ice time a night, which includes an average of just under 3 minutes on the power play as well. Pretty good week for me, Tyler.
Yeah, I think he had another 2 or 3 points tonight too. On top of this, I think he's up to 11 or 12 now. Him and DeBrincat have been like a match made in heaven, basically. So it's good for him because he's never really been up at the top of the league for points. I know it's early in the year, but maybe this is the year that Detroit takes a bit of a step, and Larkin does too.
Definitely. And our honorable mention is the aforementioned Alex DeBrincat. He had 8 points this week, 5 goals, 3 assists in the same amount of 4 games played. So, like you said, it's nice to see that because Larkin's never really had fantastic line mates to begin with. And now they have someone like DeBrincat and Raymond who's basically just riding shotgun on that line, and they've just been tearing it up, and it's been nice to see.
Yeah, it's been good. I know that their power play the other night, I think Friday or Saturday, it was up to 50%. I think it took a bit of a hit today, but it's a pretty good clip even this early in the season.
If I remember correctly, I was researching something else. I think actually it was was something that we were talking about in the heavy hockey group chat, was about power plays and where they were ranking. And I think I was looking up where Jersey's was and saw Detroit's was listed number 1 with a ridiculous, I think it was right around 50%. And it's like, holy crap. But never really put it all together now till say this talking about it's like, well, yeah, that would make a ton of sense. Like,
and it's early. Like, that's all going to kind of level out, and maybe they get a playoff spot, but to start the season, they've been really, really good. So,
well, they're off to a good start, putting some wins together, and that all helps, right? Because you've got teams like the Oilers, you've got the Devils. They're all struggling so far to start the season. Like, look at Seattle and LA haven't been doing all that hot out either. So every little bit helps. Every little win helps. We'll move on to some few headlines here. We just got a handful of them here to plug in tonight. The big one for us Oilers fans is word came out today that Connor McDavid's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks with an upper body injury. Tyler, you were at the game there when it happened, and what does that spell for Oil Country for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I didn't really see what kind of started it. I don't know if it was just I know early in the game he got tied up with, I think it was Morrissey, kind of along the boards, and that could have been maybe the beginning of something being pulled. They got tied up pretty good there, but yeah, when he pulled up with a couple minutes left and went to the bench and then missed a couple shifts, I was definitely worried. And then not going out in overtime, I mean, probably one of the reasons why they lost that game. One of several. There's a few reasons, but one of several. The big thing that sucks here is with the Heritage Classic on the 29th, and it being at a time in the year when it's not insanely cold outside and not minus 50 like it was last time they played in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And then not having McDavid play in that game. Rasmus Anderson will also not be in that game, but a little bigger deal with having McDavid out for that. It just sucks. It sucks. I'm sure if you're looking for a ticket, they're probably a little cheaper than they were 2 days ago. So
might be a little less on the resale sites, I guess, is where they, because I don't think there's I don't think there is actually a ticket available for it. You'd have to buy them on a what do they call that? A reseller site, or resell? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, and I'm sure the prices were ridiculous. And
probably.
They probably took a bit of a hit now with this news. So
yeah, that's yeah. But it's not all bad, Oilers fans. If you head over to our partners website, heavyhockey.com, Ryan Lotzberg has a great article there on the Oilers and why it may not be as bad as it looks. So take a jump over there and take a read on it there. He's got a really good article there. A couple of surprises here to start the season. The NHL won. Vegas Golden Knights first team in NHL history to go 6-0 to start the season after they won the Stanley Cup after the previous year. The previous record was 5-0, and I forgot to write down who it was. But impressive start for Vegas, although I think the schedule had a little bit to do about it. They had some pretty soft competition to start the season, but still awfully impressive for the Cup champs to go 6-0 to start the season again, eh?
Yeah, to come out of the gates and look just like you did to end the year, the previous season, kind of not miss a step at all. And they're kind of cycling through goalies there too, between Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson. They look great. They haven't missed a beat at all, and usually get that cup hangover to start, but it doesn't look like that's happening with them.
No, they're off to a good start. Stone seems to be healthy so far this part of the season. He hasn't had any back issues, and yeah, everyone's been healthy, and that's been big for them. Yeah, you've got, Thompson and Hill are both playing really, really well, which is a boon for them because goaltending has been, well, who's going to be the goaltender, right? For a while with Leonard going out, and now they've got two really good. Well, Aiden Hill played really well in the playoffs there, and Thompson, who was injured at the time, now it really is a one. Even though the salaries are very disproportionate, it's still very much a 1A and 1B scenario there.
Yeah, and doesn't matter who's in net, they've been playing really well. So schedule obviously helps with that, but they're still winning the games that are in front of them. So
most definitely. Another team that's making fools out of all of us is the Boston Bruins. They are off to a 5-0 start this season, and they have the Blackhawks on the Ducks next up on the schedule. I think we all had said that this was going to be the year that the Bruins were going to take that step back, and finally everything was going to catch up to them. And so far, they're all making us look like idiots.
So far, I don't know how long that's going to last. Both goalies have been great to start the season. The team as a whole has played really well defensively, but when you have the top two centers that they have right now compared to last season, I mean, that's a huge step, and this is a small sample size. I still think it is going to kind of level out at some point. If they have an injury to a centerman, like they're in big trouble.
Oh yeah, because they're
really big trouble.
Their second line center is a rookie that made the team out of camp, and he wasn't expected to make the team out of camp. So that's
and he scored 2 goals tonight. His first 2.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, if they have one injury there, like I don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah. The schedule has been great for them to start too, especially with the next 2 games up here.
Yeah.
They could very well be 7-0, which is good. And I think they have to be 5-10 games over 500, somewhere in that, near the trade deadline to make a big move and maybe bring in a center that's available.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't look like anybody of substance is really available to play center for them. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, well, they're off to a good start, and the more wins they can bank is the better for them down the road. So we'll see how that shakes out for them. We'll move on to Edge Work now for NHL schedule week 3. This is a segment where we put in the work to give you the edge in your fantasy hockey leagues. Each week, the hacks will cover the NHL schedule, waiver wire targets, and guide you to victory. Things you need to know. Regular season's into its 3rd week now. Heavy days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, busiest days on the schedule. With 5 or fewer games taking place on the remaining days or light days during the week. So optimizing for games played will present a challenge as the NHL schedule ramps up. This week, there are a total of 48 games on the schedule with 4 light days. That's 50% or fewer teams in action during week 3. And in terms of attempting to optimize the schedule for games played, there are a total of 6 teams: Buffalo, Minnesota, Montreal, New Jersey, San Jose, and Washington. That provide an advantage with 4 games being played. Of those teams, 2 of them, Washington and New Jersey, play 3 of their games on off nights. No teams play fewer than 2 games this week. With Ottawa, I didn't fill that out right, so we'll just kind of. Oh, there we go. Sorry, there's only 6 teams that play 2 games this week. That's Tampa, Nashville, Florida, Dallas, Chicago, and Arizona. So just to recap, Monday there is 1 game, Tuesday there is 16 games, Wednesday 1 game, Thursday 11 games, Friday there is 6 games, Saturday 9 games, and Sunday there is 4 games. Teams with 4 games, we covered that one already. Teams with 3 games, that's Anaheim, Boston, Calgary, Carolina, Colorado, Columbus, Detroit, Edmonton, LA, Islanders, the Rangers, Ottawa, the Flyers, Penguins, Kraken, Blues, Maple Leafs, the Canucks, the Golden Knights, and the Jets. And there are no teams this week with that only play 1 game. After that, we'll move on to waiver wire targets here for week 3. Here we're focusing on players with ownership of less than 50% or less. When considering players to target, we review recent performance, player deployment, and upcoming schedule, and more. We'll start off with the forwards. Tyler, you want to take us through the first guy on the list?
Yeah, first guy is Josh Norris. Rostered 47%. He's got 3 games this week: Buffalo, Islanders, Pittsburgh. Playing on line 3 with Matheson, Kubalik, power play 1. I don't think he's going to stay on line 3, but I think that's just kind of where he fits right now. I think they're kind of trying to ease him back in with ice time, given that he was a little banged up already.
Yeah, a little banged up.
Pretty early. Norris has been great in his first team games back from injury. 3 points, 2 on the power play in 2 games, 7 shots on goal, averaging just under 17 minutes time on ice so far, with a 57.5% share on the power play. I was one of the ones that didn't get to the waiver wire quick enough to pick him up. If he's still out there, which is 47% there, which half the league should have him still, definitely put him there. Hopefully you've got a couple IR spots just in case, given his history here, but definitely somebody that would be good to pick up. Definitely somebody that I should have. It was about 5 minutes. I had a time allotted when I was going to look at all the lines for both my leagues, and I got notifications from both leagues 5 minutes before I was going to go and do that he'd been picked up in both of them. So it was a little slow.
Yeah, I'm not that fast on waiver wire picks. I got to go do that, and then I'll forget. A few hours later, I'll come back and, oh crap, yeah, you got picked up. So
I try and do it when we do this podcast, and I was we were a little behind on them. So
oh, there you go. Next one we have in line here is Nick Schmaltz, playing right wing for the Arizona Coyotes. He's rostered 35%. He's got 2 games this week. LA Kings and the LA Kings. He's playing on a line with Clayton Keller and Barrett Hayton. I'm still amazed he's only 35% rostered. What Schmaltz has done so far this season in 5 games played, he's got 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists on 12 shots in goal. When you take a look at everything, this is right along with his career average over the last 2 seasons. Schmaltz has scored 59 points in 63 games and 58 points in 63 games the season before, at almost a point per game in both seasons. The only drawback with him is the Coyotes only played 2 games this week. And this is a guy that I've picked up the last 2 years. He's had injury issues. That's one of the reasons why he's only been playing 63 games the past couple of seasons. So I've picked him up the last couple of years when their previous owners were a little impatient and dropped him due to the length. And he's been a nice fill-in for me through the end of the season. And I got him early this year, but not everyone else shares my opinion on him.
Well, I think he flies under the radar. First of all, he's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Second of all, he's not flashy at all, and he just kind of is just there. It's not somebody that you really think of, but if you're trying to dig deep, especially in a little bit deeper league, that's somebody that could fill out your lineup. I mean, he's doing more than Robert Thomas, and Robert Thomas is playing first line center for St. Louis right now. So
Yeah, very true. Very true. We'll move on to our next selection here. Tom or Tyler, you want to take us through Thomas Hurdle?
yeah, Thomas Hurdle center roster is 42%. He's got 4 games this week: Florida, Tampa, Carolina, Washington. Playing on the first line with Barabanov and Duclair, first power play. I mean, he's the only guy really in San Jose that you really want if you want somebody from San Jose.
Yeah.
With 4 games this week, you probably do want him. Washington really only being the one that the strength of schedule there would probably be pretty low. Starting the season hot, he's got 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists, and 5 games played on 11 shots on goal. Centering the top line, playing an average of 21 minutes a night, and on the first power play with a 71.2% power play share. Sharks are not going to be great this season, but they do play 4 games this week. Like I said, it's the only reason why you go and pick them up.
That's pretty much it. That's there isn't much to like about the Sharks this year, and he's about it. And maybe if Couture comes back off of IR, he'll help a little bit, but I'm not even too sure that's even possible. So
yeah, I think he would definitely get a little bump because they have to put him together, and they're not going to get shut out in every game. So
no, not anyway.
Hopefully not. I mean, I understand why he's only 42% rostered, but that somebody, especially for this week with 4 games, you kind of want to get on that. So
no, most definitely. Next forward on the list is Arturi Letkinen, rostered 40%. He's left wing for the Colorado Avalanche. They've got 3 games this week against the Islanders, the Penguins, and Buffalo. He is currently playing on line number 1 with Nathan McKinnon and Valerie Nichushkin. It's never a bad place to be. Lekkonen's had a good start to the season here, 7 points so far, 22 shots on goal. He's getting lots of power play time, almost an 80% share on the power play, which is incredible. He's playing, as long as he plays in the top 6, he's been a very consistent performer and has been very much fantasy relevant, and especially in Colorado's offense.
It's a bit of a surprise, coming from Montreal, where he's just like that third line guy.
Yeah.
Kind of a shutdown player, and then you go and you play on the first power play and play on the first line, and you produce.
Yeah.
And then a good offense. So I think it's another guy that kind of gets looked over a little bit based on the majority of his career in Montreal and not really being that relevant, but he is now. So
yeah. Oh, for sure, right? Because look at in Colorado, right? You've got McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, Nichushkin. You've got a lot of bigger names there, and Lekkonen isn't one of those big names. So it's till you actually, like you said, dig into the stats and look, you don't see holy crap, like he's good. So next one on the list here, we've got from the Carolina Hurricanes, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He's rostered 16%. Got 3 games this week: Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Seattle. He is currently on the second line, and those are definitely not his line mates. I forgot to fill those in. Yikes, that's pretty ugly. Those are definitely not his line mates.
He should have pretty good numbers playing with those guys.
Yes, he should, but those are definitely not the guys he is like. All right, so he has got Stefan Newson on his left wing and Seth Jarvis on his right wing. Oh boy, I'll leave the show notes alone. You can see the players that I left in there, and oh yikes! So with Sebastian Aho out of the lineup, Kotkaniemi has been filling in nicely. He's currently centering the second line. He's got 7 points. Apparently, I can't type again either tonight. On 15 shots on goal in 6 games so far this season. He's averaging just over 16 minutes of ice time, and he's got a small power play share, just under 40%. He's on power play too, but those point totals, he's filling in nicely while Aho is resting whatever seems to be bothering him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean it's a small sample size too. I don't expect him to kind of keep the pace for this season, but for this week, and given his only 60% rostered, Tampa hasn't been what Tampa usually is, and Seattle's been pretty awful to start the season. So
Yeah,
might be a good spot
right.
to look at him.
Definitely, right. He's been, excuse me. Yeah, he's filled in nicely there, right? With Aho being out of the lineup, and like you said, it's for this week, or at least till Aho comes back from injury, or Svechnikov, whichever one comes off first. It's they've been filling in nicely for them.
Even with Aho in the lineup, I mean, he was still putting up points. So
Yeah,
um, I don't expect that to last, but right now, especially with Aho out, and for this week, he's probably a good guy to look at.
most definitely. Next one on the list here is a guy that's he's only rostered 19%, but again, I think he's probably one of the more underrated guys here. You want to take us through Sean Couturier?
Yeah, another guy that I'm surprised is rostered that low. He's only rostered 19%. 3 games this week: Vegas, Minnesota, and Anaheim. First two teams there probably a bit of a tough go for Philadelphia. Playing on the first line with Tippett, Atkinson, first power play. So far in 5 games, he has 4 points and 11 shots on goal, averaging just over 20 minutes a night. Plays in all situations, averages just under 4 minutes on the power play, and already has a shorthanded goal this season. I think when you look at Philadelphia, there's only a couple guys that you want to pick from. Couturier is one of them. Yeah. He plays a ton, all situations. As long as his back isn't broken, he's probably going to put up a point. At worst, he's going to get those shifts for those leagues that count those. Yeah, too bad Devin's not here right now.
No doubt.
And playing on the first power play is always a bump too. I'm actually surprised with how well Philadelphia has played, and I know one of those games being against Edmonton, but they can play a different style based on the other team, and I'm surprised how defensive they've been able to play to start this season.
They've done really well, and I think, and what I've read is a lot is made of now that have Atkinson and Couturier back in the lineup. It has taken a lot of pressure off some of the younger guys that they were leaning on, and it's paying off for them. They've got a good start to the season. Carter Hart's played fantastic so far. He's another hot start, and had a couple of beautiful saves there against the Oilers when we watched the tail end of that game.
Yeah, typical.
Let's move on to defensemen now. So our first defenseman on the list here is from the Minnesota Wild, Calen Addison. He's only rostered 7%. Big reason why he's on here is because he's on the first power play unit, and Minnesota plays 4 games this week versus Edmonton, the Flyers, the Capitals, and the Devils. He said having 4 games this week. He's only got 2 points to start the season, but he's locked in on the first power play, and he's playing just under 19 minutes a night with Jonas Brodin. So got a spot on your defense there. You need to add a defenseman for this week. He could be a sneaky little ad to go in there. Another guy to look at here too, also a rookie for the Wild, Brock Faber. They brought him up when Spurgeon went out, and he's been filling in nicely too. He doesn't play on the power play. I think he's only got a couple of points this season as well, but he's putting in 20 plus minutes for the Wild as well. You think, Tyler, either one of those guys?
Yeah, Addison, I mean, playing on the first power play is always something to look at, and only rostered 7%. They also play Edmonton, Philadelphia, and Washington, and New Jersey, but 3 of those 4 games, he should be in a pretty good spot, unfortunately, for one of them.
Yes. Next guy on the list here, you're not going to hear his name a lot in terms of fantasy relevance, but he's off to a good start. Dylan DeMello of the Winnipeg Jets. He's rostered 13%. He's got 3 games coming up this week against the New Jersey, Toronto, and Vancouver. As I mentioned, he has. You're not going to hear much of him. He's got 4 points in 5 games so far this season, all assists. But he plays 22 minutes a night, and if you're desperate and needly for defensemen, he's been fairly consistent in a very short sample size of putting up points. So if you're desperate and you need a guy, and go get him.
Yeah, I think the last note there, ride the wave while you can,
Yeah,
pretty much sums it up with him.
I think so too. Last defenseman we got in the list here tonight is Michael Matheson of the Montreal Canadiens. He's rostered 32%. He's got 3 games this week as well. Apparently, I didn't fill. Oh, sorry. He's got 4 games this week. Apologies. Another oops in the show notes. Buffalo, New Jersey, Washington, and Winnipeg. Matheson is averaging just under 26 minutes a night for the Canadiens. He's playing with the top pair with David Savard. Included in those minutes, he's also got some time on power play 1. He currently has a 68.7 power play share. He's also playing shorthanded. He's playing at just under half of their shorthanded minutes as well each game. Playing all that time, he's going to get some time with Caulfield and Suzuki. And they do play 4 games this week. So if he's available and you need a spot on your defense, he could be another guy that could be worth adding. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I think just because of the 4 games, he's definitely worth a look. I know that we've talked about him quite a few times on this podcast. I'm not one of the people that were big on him. I think he's a good top 4 defenseman playing on a team that doesn't have any of those. So good spot for him though this week.
Yeah.
Not the best teams to play against: Buffalo, New Jersey, Winnipeg, Washington, for sure at the start of the season. But he's playing a ton, so you're gonna get some kind of points from him, no matter what your league is, based on the amount of time that he's playing. So definitely worth a look.
No, most definitely. He was the last defenseman on our list. We're going to move on now to goaltenders. First one in the list is Cam Talbot of the LA Kings. He sneaks in just under here at rostered at 49%. They've got 4 games this week. 3 games this week. Back-to-back versus, a home and home with Arizona and the Vegas Golden Knights. So looks like for the moment that Talbot's got the starting job. He's had started the last 3 games with a 2-1 record, goals against average of 2.71 and a save percentage of 903. I guess for now, if you need goaltending help, he'd be someone. He's looked okay in the last 3 starts, but the team as a whole hasn't looked all that great going at the start of the season here either. So
yeah, they haven't, but I think based on the teams that they're going to play this week, aside from Vegas, I don't think that there's going to be a ton of goals against, so I don't think he's going to hurt you. And should get you some saves. I would imagine he's probably going to play all 3 of those starts. So somebody to look at, somebody that I was kind of high on going into the season, but LA just hasn't really had the start that I thought they would, based on the way that they played last year. But
yeah, season's still early too, so we'll see how that rolls out for them. Next goalie on the list here is Joseph Woll from the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's rostered 30% currently. They've got 3 games this week versus Washington, Dallas, and Nashville. Woll put in an incredible relief performance here versus the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday, backstopping them to a overtime victory. I think if I remember correctly. Tampa, or was it regulation? I can't remember. I forgot to write it down. Oops. He was pegged in to start here with the game in Washington on Tuesday, but if he puts up another solid start like he did in relief here on Saturday, he could possibly start taking some starts away from Samsonov, who let in 3 goals and 4 shots to start the game on Saturday. So the door is open if Woll wants to step through it and take it.
I think it was Sheldon Keefe that said that when he was asked about Joseph Woll, was something about Samsonov where He didn't say Samsonov, but he said you can't let 3 goals in on 4 shots. So Wall might be somebody that you want to pick up and just hang on to and just see how it goes here, because it sounds like and it looks like Toronto wants him to be the goalie and Toronto wants him to play. So Samsonov has not been anywhere close to what he was last season. So I think Wall could probably get quite a few starts here, and he might be somebody sneaky, especially if you went 0G, that if you pick him up now and you kind of hang on to him, it can make a difference at the end of the year. So
No, most definitely. Last guy on the list here is our good buddy Elvis from Columbus. You want to take us through that, Tyler?
Yeah, Elvis roster 34%. He's got 3 games: Anaheim, Montreal, the Islanders. After fighting off the flu, he backs up the Jackets to a 5-4 win over the Wild on Saturday. I'm not sure if he threw up in his mask too, or if that was only Demko.
Demko, but yeah.
They have 3 games this week against beatable teams: the Ducks, Canadians, and the Islanders. With even the Canadians, I don't like, they're not scoring much for goals this year. So that I'm surprised that he's only at 34%. I've had him almost, it feels like I've had him every season, and I've hung on to him and I've rode with it. And this might, I feel like, and I'm probably wrong, but this might be the year that it actually pays off. I'm surprised that he's rostered at 34%. And this week against those teams, even the Islanders too, they don't score a lot of goals. Anaheim definitely doesn't score a lot of goals. Montreal doesn't score a lot of goals. He'd be somebody definitely to have a look at.
Oh, most definitely. I think I picked him up in the other league that we're together on, and I'm kind of hoping that he can help me through, because I did the extreme 0G thing again this year in our one league, and I'm sort of somewhat regretting it right now, because I think Merzlikins is my best goalie right now that I have. So,
well, yeah, that same league I think that you're talking about, I have Campbell and Anderson, and it's not been good.
No.
It's not been good.
All right, folks, that's it for the show this week. Thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter or X at FHHHacks, or on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Don't forget to check out our Hacks Hangout every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Mountain Time on Edmonton Sports Talk, and on youtube.com/heavy hockey. All right, everyone. Thanks. Have a good evening. Good night, Tyler.
We did it, Bruce.
We did it.
Good.